day 26. We're finishing off this work week with shoulders, my favorite muscle group. The reason being is that it used to be a major weakness for mine, but now I've actually turned it into a little bit more of a strength. One of the things that I really want to hit home, and I focus on myself, is the rehab of the shoulders before we can even injure it. We don't want to injure the shoulders, that's for sure. However, it's a very common occurrence for somebody to injure. Now, the rotator cuff, which is within the shoulder, are very, very small muscles. So they're even smaller than my little finger, and as our outer delts get stronger, evidently the rotator cuff can get weaker. So what I like to do, especially on shoulder day, before I hit shoulders, I like to do some internal and some external rotator cuff movements. So as an example, I'll hold onto a cable pulley with one handle and I'll rotate outwards like that with a weight that allow me to reach failure at around 14, 15 repetitions. And then I'll turn around and grab hold of that cable and pull it across my body. The whole time I'm keeping my elbow pinned to the side. And then I may grab hold of a dumbbell and I'll rotate up and out to the side as well, like that, making sure that I'm keeping my upper arm completely straight and I'm only rotating my shoulder and my forearm, okay? And I'll perform about 14 repetitions on each exercise, and I'll do about 3 sets of each exercise, and then we will go into our conventional shoulder exercises that'll work the outer portion of the delts. Today is our last day, so make sure that you finish strong, and remember, we're working at that 8 repetition to failure, so make sure that you select a weight that'll allow you to do so. So we're going to start off with what's called side lateral raises. So shoulders are made up of various portions. So you've got what's called the front anterior head, you've got the lateral head here, and you've got the posterior head of the delts. And we need to work those angles from various movements. So we're going to start off with the side lateral raises. I'm going to show you how to perform these correctly because I see everybody around the world performing them the wrong way. What you're going to do is look in the mirror to make sure that you've got your form correct, and when you're raising up from your sides, not from the front, you should make sure that your elbows, wrists and shoulders are all in one line when you come up. What I don't want to see is your hands coming up higher. So I see that a lot. People, especially as they reach failure and the exercise gets hard, they come up like that. I want you to lead with your elbows so they kind of drag your hands behind. So just think of your hands are hooks, holding onto the dumbbells, and you're leading with your elbows, and you're coming up and slowly down. About 2-second count up and a 2-second count down. I'll see people do this as well. And they'll have big traps to the point that they're almost deaf, and that's your upper portion of your back, and no shoulders because they're performing it wrong. So it's going to be a lot harder doing it the correct way, but doing it the correct way is going to give you all the gains that you need on your shoulders. And that's the warm-up set completed. Rest about 60 seconds because it's a smaller muscle group before performing a little bit heavier on our second warm-up set. I'm going to show you a stretch that you can do for this exercise. Again, you'll need something that's kind of stable. This will stretch your front delts and a little bit of your side delts. This is one stretch that I like to do. Is pulling across the body, and I'll do this for the rear delts too. And I'll do that on both sides, so I kind of push myself against the bar and really pull the shoulder across the body. Now, if you really don't feel that stretch, because it really is hard to feel a stretch there, this is the other one that I personally prefer. I'll reach up behind me onto my tiptoes, and then I'll walk out until I'm getting a really good stretch throughout the front and the side delts. Let's move into the second warm-up set. Just another warm-up, so don't worry about going to failure yet. Make sure that you keep your body upright. Don't swing forward or back. You can do that as an advanced movement a little bit later, but during these 4 weeks, you're going to be performing it exactly how I demonstrate. We're going to rest for about 60 seconds before going into our first of 3 working sets. So get yourself focused, mentally aligned within the set, and we're ready to rock and roll. remember, the whole time you're trying to isolate a small muscle group. So a small muscle group isn't necessarily going to be a strong one. So if you feel that you're bringing in your traps, or you're bringing in your lower back, or as I said, you're coming up with your hands leading as opposed to your wrist, then maybe lighten the weight until you get the form 110% correct, because the last thing you want to do over these 4 weeks is pick up bad habits. Okay, that was a perfect weight at reach and failure, so I'm going to choose the same one again. I finished strong in that set. So that's it. Our side delts, our outer lateral head of our shoulders are done. Now we're going to move on to another portion of the delts. We're going to be doing the posterior head of our delts now. So that's the rear portion of our shoulders. That's a very, very small muscle group, and it's very easy to bring in our assisting muscles of the back. So we have to be very conscious that we don't use our back in this movement. And I'm going to show you how to primarily focus on the posterior head of our delts. So what we're going to do is bend over with our back flat. So stick your chest out, stick your butt out slightly. You're going to bend over. Palms are going to be facing each other. And just how we did the side raise, we're going to do it in a bent over movement, okay? Be careful not to row up like that. Be careful not to squeeze your shoulder blades. Just keep your back flat and come out to the sides. Don't think about bringing the weight up. Think about bringing it to the sides. Make sure your neck is aligned with your spine. And the dumbbells are just below your chin, out to the sides, and just below your chin, down below as well. To make sure that you keep it aligned, so don't come back like this. Don't go forward there. It's right out to the sides. Now you'll see that I'm stopping just outside of my legs, because here is just no tension whatsoever. As soon as I feel the tension start to release, that's when I slow down and go back up. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out on the positive, breathe in on the negative. First warm-up done. Now I feel warmed up after doing that exercise. You may feel that you want to do a second, possibly third exercise of warm-ups before going into the working sets. Oh, we're done there, absolutely perfect. So you'll notice that I wasn't assisting that exercise with any other muscle group. I wasn't squeezing my shoulder blades, I wasn't rowing. If anything, the range of motion just got a little bit shorter. So I would have started like that, but as I reached failure, maybe I was only just doing about 3/4 of a rep, and that's exactly how it should be. Back to the stretch that I showed you in the beginning, that's gonna be primary for our rear delts. So you're gonna hold onto a supported bar, like I've got here. You're gonna kind of pull away across the body, and to further push, I like to push my forearm against here so I can really feel the stretch around the back portion of my shoulder. And the same this side. Second working set. So we're gonna stand all the way up straight first before checking our form, sticking the butt out, chest out, keeping the back flat, neck aligned with your back, and bend over and begin. I'm gonna stretch out again. In about 60 seconds, I should be back here performing our third and final set of rear lateral raises. And what you'll notice is that we're not pussying around, we're not messing around with really light weights here. We're making sure that the body has a reason to grow and to change shape. We need to take it out of its normal, comfortable environment and kind of sling some weights around here in order for it to adapt to its environment by changing, by getting bigger, more denser, more toned, more separated, and obviously more growth. So enough talk, let's get into it. Last set. Even better on that third set. So that is our rear delts and our lateral head of our delts. So side and rear, done. Now we've got to hit the anterior portion, which is the front area of our delts. For that, we're going to be doing front raises. Now we have to do front. As opposed to going both together, which we call bilateral, we're gonna go one at a time, which we call unilateral. So we're gonna come up again, just at the level of your shoulder, like we did on the side, one at a time, directly in front. So I'm gonna demonstrate that on our first warm-up set. So to begin with, gonna bring the dumbbells in front of you. Gonna come up right in front of that shoulder with your arms straight, or straight as you possibly can be, and then back down. Up, as soon as that one touches, you go back up. What I see sometimes when people are curling, they'll go down and up at the same time, and same when I see them do the shoulders. Make sure this dumbbell comes down to your thigh before engaging the other. You can only focus on one at a time like that. Focus on a positive and a negative. Focus on a positive and negative. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. So it's not 1, 2, it's like this. 1, 1, 2, 2. This is a unilateral movement, so it will take a lot longer. I can really feel that throughout my front shoulders, even though this is just a warm-up. I'm getting a pump there already. Okay, first warm-up done. So this is, again, the importance of taking a good pre-workout. A lot of people think a pre-workout should just get them jacked and mentally anxious and stimulated. It shouldn't be that. Yes, it should give you focus and it should give you cloudy, but more so than anything, it should provide a localized area pump. So it improves blood flow. It gets your blood vessels dilated. So then when you've got blood in those localized areas, you can really feel those muscle groups moving. So that's what you should be looking for. And I could really feel that now getting a pump just in my first warm-up set. So I'm gonna go straight into my working set. If you feel that you need another warm-up set, fine. If you need 3 warm-up sets, great. But I'm warm, so I'm instinctively gonna go into my working set. What you'll find, your body will wanna bring in a little bit of body movement, so a bit of body language coming from your lower back. So it's just assisting in that way. Try to fight against that, if possible, as if your back is flat up against a wall and it can't move. Try to stay as static as possible until you really get the hang of this exercise. So let's stretch out the front delts, similar to what I did with the side delts. I'm gonna stick to the same weight. I was right. I reached failure at 1 rep short then, but it was good. Remember to always look on the page below to get all the information, because every week the repetitions will be changing. So during your workouts, it can be normal sometimes, unfortunately, if you feel really lightheaded, especially when you're doing a larger muscle group such as legs. You can feel a little bit nauseous because your stomach acids are on overtime. You can feel a little bit lightheaded because all the blood has gone from your head into your body. So just take your time, maybe sit down, take a few deep breaths, make sure that you realign and you're not gonna faint on me. Don't push yourself too hard. You're just starting out. Try not to look at anybody else in the gym and try to compare yourself to them or try to keep up. So just take it easy, all right? But remember, you shouldn't be distracted on what's going on around you anyway. So let's focus on the task at hand and finish off this final set. The range of motion just got a little bit shorter, but that's good. I kept my form intact and we reached failure. It was just a couple of reps or 1.5 reps short, but that's okay. It's still a good guide of where we need to be reaching. So we've done our 3 exercises of lateral movements. Now we're gonna finish off with a compound movement that will work primarily your front and lateral heads, not so much your rear delts. So with this exercise now, the shoulder press is gonna be a final movement. So this exercise is called the seated shoulder press. It can be done in various forms. It can be done standing. As a beginner, you should definitely be doing this seated and making sure that you've got a high back here or a back that supports you so you're stabilized here. Try not to arc your back. Now, when we're performing this movement, we're gonna do it with dumbbells. The reasons why I want you to do it with dumbbells is, number one, if you haven't got a spotter and you're using a bar, you could really get stuck underneath it and you could injure yourself. Number two, with the dumbbells, it's really going to improve the stability of our rotator cuff muscles. So you have little muscles like half the thickness of my little finger supporting a rotator cuff. A rotator cuff is a ball and socket movement, so it can go all over the place. And the infraspinatus and supraspinatus really stabilize that, okay? These muscles aren't show muscles. You will not build them to the extent that you'll see them bulging out, but it will improve the stability of the outer muscles so you don't get injured, okay? So we're gonna pick up the weight. We're gonna place them on our thighs. Now, what I like to do is use my legs to help hoist it up. So I will push with that leg to bring it up to there. So the dumbbell is almost touching my shoulder, and that one, and that is our starting point, okay? And then I'm gonna push up directly overhead. I'm not gonna come together. I'm gonna stop about two fist distances apart to keep the tension on the delts the whole time. I'm gonna come down just to a right angle and then back up. No further than that. There, and back up. Try to keep your lower back as flat against the pad as possible. It will arc slightly, that's fine. And up and down. Be careful not to have your arms too far back or forward. Keep them vertical. So down to a right angle, up. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, so that's my warm-up done. I'm gonna go to a slightly heavier weight now to do another warm-up. Make sure that your elbow doesn't come too far forward when you're pushing. A lot of people will do that, especially with a bar, and that's just gonna work the front portion of your anterior head of your delts. You really wanna try to work your lateral and your anterior by making sure that your elbows are out to the side of your shoulders, not in front of them, just in line perfectly. So we're pushing like that. Oh, another reason why I really enjoy using dumbbells is that you can use or work and focus on either side individually. So what I find for me personally, if my elbow is slightly forward on this side but back this way, that's really comfortable for me. If I was to do that with a bar, I would be forced into a position that's not comfortable for me. Everybody's different. However, that's why I always like to use dumbbells as well. So keep that in mind, that you may feel a little bit more comfortable if one is slightly out of line of the other, okay? All right, so now I've done 2 warm-up sets. I'm gonna go straight into my working set, trying to reach failure. So we're gonna stretch out the shoulders in between these sets, making sure that your shoulders are always nice and nimble the whole time. It's very easy for your muscles to become tighter and tighter as you begin your journey within weight training. I find it's very important to stay versatile and agile. So I'll always stretch a lot. You know, sometimes I do yoga, but you don't have to go that far. But as long as you stretch in between your sets, you'll be good. Second set. So you may see the weights that I'm picking up now and thinking that you're going to compare yourself, or sometimes I may be picking up a really heavy weight and you're trying to compare yourself. You can't. You've got to be the best version of yourself. Leave your ego at the door and don't pick up crazy weights, because it's not going to impress anybody, and it's certainly not going to impress your muscles. Your muscles aren't going to thank you for doing incorrect form just for the sake of picking up a heavier weight. Your muscles have no idea what is written on any of these dumbbells. Remember, we are doing this for longevity. It's for our health purposes, not for our ego or for anybody else. Again, put the weights there on your thighs, lift it up. One side, hold it. Other side, hold it. Aligned, let's go. So, I'm gonna stretch out. We got one more set. Make sure that we are focused to finish this workout off strong. Another form of stretching out the delts is that I'm gonna demonstrate for you. If you do have a bit of tubing like this, or sometimes like a yoga strap or a broom handle, you can use this to really improve the flexibility of your shoulders if you find them a little bit too tight for this exercise. So what I like to do is bring it behind and come all the way down and then over. And again, behind and over. And as you become a little bit more flexible, bring your hands in closer and see if you can still do it. That's a little bit harder now. And you can do that about 10 times. And as you become a little bit better at it, you can bring your hands in closer, and that will really improve the flexibility of your shoulders. Okay, third and final set. So the reason why I throw the weights down personally is not because I'm haphazardly just throwing the weights away. I'm just taking the pressure off my shoulders as I lower it, especially as I go heavier. I like to just throw them down, but again, just not haphazardly. By doing that, it just takes the stress away from my shoulders, trying to hold the heavy weight as I put it down. But make sure that you do get the approval of the gym that you're training in. Luckily, I do here, and I've got rubber weights and rubber matting. So we are done here for shoulders. You should feel a really good pump now through the front, lateral, and rear portion of your shoulders. So make sure that you come back to the gym fully focused, fully energized, fully hydrated, because we're going to be hitting that large muscle group all over again. And you know how tough it is.